Hello, everyone. My name is Evren Karayel Gökkaya. I am an artist and an academic in the painting department of the Faculty of Fine Arts at Çanakkale 18 Mart University in Turkey. Today, together with my colleague Ayşe Ekici, we invite you to reflect on the fundamental question at this symposium. Is remembering truly unique to humans? We usually think of memory as a conscious act of recollection. But if we pause and look around us, we notice the abandonment of a place, the erosion of a stone surface, the absence of a sound, all of these remind us of something. Memory is not merely mental, it's material, environmental, and relational. This is our starting point to take memory away from a human-centered position and think of it as a process produced by human and non-human beings. This is what we call posthuman memory. Memory does not belong to a single subject. Soil, water, animals, objects, and even those that have vanished and all part of this memory. It's not an archive that stores the past, it's a process that is continuously reconstructed and in circulation. My own series, Phantom Birds, offer a concrete example of this. The birds in these words are traces of absence, ghosts of spaces that have disappeared or are under threat. Rather than showing loss directly, the works make the viewer feel that the loss is still present. What has vanished does not entirely disappear, it persists in matter, in image, and in perception. Absence here is not passive, it becomes an active and transformative force. This brings us to ecological witnessing, not merely observing the destruction of the environment and humanity from afar, but having the capacity to relate to losses, disappearances, and silences. As viewers, we are not merely looking, we come face to face with what is missing and what will never return. This encounter removes us from a safe observer position and asks, how will we alongside these losses? Contemporary art opens up a vital space for this question. It makes the invisible visible and transforms the viewer from passive observer into someone who is implicated. The first artist I want to discuss is Ateş Alpar. History's stone shall silence bear witness to submersion of the multi-layered historical settlement Hasankeyf due to the dam construction through photography. Its narrative not only people but also stone, water, cemeteries, and space itself became carriers of memory. The relocation of graves significance the forced rewriting of memory, demonstrating how fragile and how deeply material memory truly is. The concept of stone, shell, and silence represent different layers of loss. Stone marks historical continuity, shell expresses the fragile trace left by disappearance, silence points to losses that are unseen and unspoken. Most strikingly, this placement is treated as a process encompassing not only the living but also the dead. Water inward from its life-giving role, becomes a symbol of destruction shaped by human invertation. Alper's photographs invite the viewer not only to see, but to confront and to remember. The second artist is Sinem Dişli, whose exhibition Currents focuses on the ancient Somata region near the city Urfa. Urfa, through long exposure photographs, video installations, and site-specific sculptural elements, the works explores dam projects, the redirection of water, and the archaeological sites lost in the process. Submergent mounds along the river Euphrates point to the physical erasure of historical memory. Currents demonstrates that non-human elements, photography, water, archaeological remains, and atmospheric events are also carriers of memory. The viewer encounters not the representation of a past lost, but the traces of ongoing ecological transformation. Memory here is alongside the material environment and transforms together with it. The third artist, Emre Hüner, opens a more speculative terrain. In his exhibition, Electro Installation, Unknown Parameter of Records, a hanger-like installation of sculpture, video, text, drawing, and found objects, memory appears as fragmented, incomplete, and constantly shifting. There is no fixed narrative. Different fragments come together to form an unfinished whole. The concept of on the record and off the record are central here. According to Hüner, what is off the record is not what has not occurred, but process that record cannot access, yet which continue to exist. Memory is treated a structure that always contains incomplete and inaccessible elements circulating amongst objects, space and image, rather than residing in any single object. I now hand the floor to Ayşe Ekici.
Hello, my name is Ayşe Ekici, and I am also an artist and academician in painting department in Çanakkale. In my works, nature is often without humans. You can see, not as a deficiency, but as an opening, a space in which plants, stones, soil, decay, and regeneration exist on their own terms. The dried plants, moss covered surfaces, and seasonal changes in my works are not merely aesthetic elements, they are carriers of memory. Nature is in a state of continuous recording within itself. For me, memory is not a place where the past is stored. It's layered, cyclical, and continuously transforming. The withering of a plant does not mean extinction, it's the beginning of another becoming. Decay and regeneration are not opposites. They make each other possible. The viewer in my work does not find a completed image. They look into an ongoing process, one that invites slowing down, paying attention, noticing. The most important shift is this: to begin thinking of nature not as a background, but as an active subject. Nature is a realm of existence that remembers and transforms. Now, I'd like to introduce 3 more artists whose practices extend this thinking. The first one is Kıymet Taş'tan. Kıymet Taş'tan series Oblivion Stones transforms CDs, DVDs into stone-like sculpture forms through heat. These objects, which have lost their data storage function, are deformed and given new material life. The resulting form evoked geological stones while bearing traces of fracture and layering on their surfaces, referencing ancient ruins from the Beirut coastline and stones collected from across Turkey. This transformation is an inquiry into the nature of memory itself. When melted, the data stored on the disk is erased, yet this erasure produces a new material memory. In the artist's words, these objects become new beings filled with forgotten memories. Memory exists not only through preservation but through deterioration, erasure, and regeneration. The series also questions value. A discarded object transformed into stone form begins to resemble something precious, making invisible how cultural value is constructed and assigned. And the second artist is Ozan Atalan. Ozan Atalan's work Monochrome focuses on the disappearance of water buffalo habitats in Istanbul due to airport and bridge construction. A documentary video shows the Kemerburgaz habitats and their destruction, while in the same place a real water buffalo skeleton is arranged with brands, stones, concrete. So making the transformation and destruction of nature by human hands physically present. The dominant use of concrete underscores the role of excessive construction in ecological destruction, particularly resonant given Turkey's position as one of the world's largest concrete producers. The buffalo skeleton and concrete become material witnesses to ecological loss. The viewer does not encounter an abstraction. They face both the visual and physical traces of disappearance, transforming ecological destruction from knowledge into sensory experience. Finally, Kerem Ozan Bayraktar's Urban Weeds is an art and research project examining ruderal plants, those that grow spontaneously in urban sites of disturbance such as railways, ruins, and abandoned buildings. These weeds record what happens in a city more honestly and for far longer than humans do. A weed that grows where a building once stood carries the history of that soil, where the seed drifted from, how the ground was contaminated, how the land was used and then abandoned. This approach is consistent with the idea as discussed in posthuman memory theory, that species and non-human beings also bear their own historical traces. Bayraktar's particular focus on classifications such as invasive weed versus native plant is equally significant. To label a plant invasive is to declare that it does not belong here. This is very similar to the exclusion practices applied to migrants and displaced communities. The project argues that the places the city considers empty and meaningless are in fact the silent memories of both ecological and social history. All of these examples show us clearly memory can no longer be thought of as a faculty belonging solely to humans. Matter, nature, and the environment are also remembering actors. Witnessing is not merely seeing, it requires forming relationships and taking responsibility. As Donna Haraway reminds us, no being exists on its own, all life is produced in through relationships. Memory too is not the product of single subject, but the collective production of multiple coexisting actors. Rosi Braidotti defined the subject not as a fixed structure, but as a plural process formed at the intersection of human, technology, and environmental forces. Taking memory away from an individual archive and transforming it into a becoming in circulation. This is precisely where art intervenes, as a practice that makes invisible relationships visible and gives form to testimonies that cannot be put into words. Art is perhaps the most powerful means of expression for post-human memory. The works we have examined today show us that art does not merely represent, it also remembers and reminds. With this work, we invite a rethink of a memory, emphasizing that remembering is no longer a return to the past, but a reconstruction of the relationships we hold with the world we inhabit. And perhaps the most important question is, how do we live together on a damaged planet? Thank you.
Ayşe, thank you, Evren. So we are moving on to the Q&A. Why, since, you know, most artworks that you have discussed in the presentation, they focus on memory, right? And the title of the presentation is memory. So my question is, why so much interest in memory in Turkey? Like, is there a reason for that, or is it just like a coincidence or something?
You ask why we discuss the memory. I couldn't understand you.
How do I put it differently? it's you know, maybe somebody could help me. I know maybe I'm not making. Why memory matters in Turkey?
Why memory matters in Turkey? Maybe the geological position or historical position, maybe.
So maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit, like historical and geographical, or because that would be interesting to know. Where does this interest stem from?
Thank you.
Turkish people need memory. I unfortunately forget many things, and material help me remember, and all artists and implied in this important matter. I need, as an artist, I need remember all person in Turkish important historical stories and matters, and material help me.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. And I mean, you know, I was kind of diligently kind of taking pictures of all the artists because I want to check out later. But maybe a comment or a question, you know, feel free to engage, or if you feel like not engaging, that's fine too. Just kind of, you know, coming with this concept that you propose of post-human memory, I'm thinking, you know, beyond the artists that you spoke about, maybe, you know, in terms of just sort of, you know, thinking about the concept and sort of like, you know, working around this. Could it be interesting to look into the kind of more scientific, popular scientific discourses on epigenetics and the fact that the environment the organisms live in have actually an impact on, you know, the kind of genetic imprint? So basically, you know, the potential traumas or changing conditions in the environment have an impact on life in a sense of, you know, us as humans or non-humans, any kind of organisms that actually can basically alter or contribute to the kind of, you know, genetic code. I mean, like, it can change due to, you know, challenging conditions. So in some sense, one could think about this as also a kind of, you know, more than human memory, a kind of biological memory that, you know, like also maybe just another example thinking about intergenerational trauma that is kind of becomes imprinted on the kind of biological level in humans or, other organisms, basically. So I'm wondering, like, if you think that could be an interesting thing to kind of, I don't know, maybe, engage in your argument, like in terms of theoretical argument. So, just kind of make this connection between art and science that is so popular in the context of, post-humanist discourses. I mean, I don't know, do you want to kind of grab this and run with this idea somehow? Do you want to respond or?
Thank you for your comment. Sorry, today it's very a bit to understand English for me. It's a little bit hard, but maybe we can talk in coffee break more comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, are there gonna be more? Audrona.
Thank you for your presentation. I thought that perhaps Bernard Stiegler would be relevant to your presentation in terms of this artificial or technological memory. So he defines like 3 different phases of memory. So consciousness is a recording machine, so we record what's happening at every moment. But with the arrival of technologies, we have this opportunity to detach memory from human subject and have, this technological or trans-individual memory. So maybe this could be somehow helpful to your work.
Are we gonna have more suggestions? If there are no more suggestions, no more questions, no more remarks, no more comments, I thank you for an amazing panel.